Welcome to WiscoDice!
Hey, yo, folks, I'm the Conesy with the most, and I am joined today by...
Hey, everybody, it's Justin here, the Meat Bills champion.
And I'm Matt, the Ghost Walker.
Episode 155 of the WiscoDice Tabletop Gaming Podcast. Today is June 17th, 2026. It's not June 17th, 2026. It's actually July 1st, 2026. We were supposed to record this last week, but somebody didn't fix it. But hey, that's what happens, man. That's why we are excited, because today is time for our GenCon 2026 preview show. I'm glad our show got delayed a week, because you'll find out about that when we do our preview later. But first, let's roll into the games we have been playing.
All right, so our first game is a game that my wife and I just recently picked up called Aquatica Duellum, or it's probably pronounced Duellum, but it's produced by Arcane Wonders. Playtime is listed at 35 to 50 minutes. It is a two-player game. My wife and I love to have some two-player games around. And if you are familiar with Aquatica, there is a much bigger game called Aquatica, which it plays very, very similar. It's still a card game where you're trying to basically capture lands and people, and you use them to empower you to do even more stuff. But the interesting thing about the dual or two-player game is that it gives you 3 or 4 sort of like instant win methods. So you have to be constantly watching what's going on the board and gathering the right people in the right lands to give you access to get end game scoring, but then you also have to be watching the other player because they might be creeping closer and closer to an automatic win, and suddenly game's over and that person won. So, it's something my wife and I have played, I want to say 3 or 4 times at this point. I have a really good time with it. It is quick, it's easy to set up, and it really reminds me of the original Aquatica. So, if you're looking for a nice, quick, easy to set up game, you're a fan of Aquatica, it's definitely one I would recommend you check out.
Sounds fun. We've got Aquatica in our collection. I think Suzanne's introduced quite a few people to it.
Yeah.
And we really like it, and especially Suzanne does. And I like it too. I remember seeing this one come out, and since we had the core game, we were like, it'd be cool to get the 2-player version of this, but we really enjoyed the 2-player play of the original Aquatica. So
yeah,
I think that's, if, kind of pick it's a nice way to be like, hey, if you only really play games with your wife on a regular basis, like with your games, Aquatica Duellum is, I think, a great choice to pick up. It sounds like it's a ton of fun, especially if it really captures the mechanics in the base game Aquatica.
Yeah, I feel like the mechanics are very, very similar. And I've played the base game of Aquatica. I don't have the base game, but I've always played it at your place with Suzanne and really enjoyed it. And that was one of the reasons my wife saw it and picked it up. And I felt like the first time I played it, I'm like, yep, this is how I remember the base game playing. But it's a little bit more tuned for that sort of 2-player experience. But like Ben said, if you already own Aquatica, it's not going to be anything new. But if you are looking for a smaller form box and something you can just take with you and just play with your spouse, great, quick, easy one.
Pretty sure Aquatica is from the same people who designed Smartphone Inc., which was, I think, a few years ago, was super hard to get here in the U.S., and people who were able to get their hands on it were like, oh my god, this game is great. It's another one that's in my collection. And yeah, so it is completely different mechanically, but still, like, they're both really good games. So
yeah,
anytime I see something from that publisher group, and I know this is distributed by Arcane Wonders, but it's created by a different publisher. Yeah, I'm definitely all in trying to play it. So yeah, good pick. let's roll into Forest Shuffle. Now, Forest Shuffle, this is from Lookout Games, I believe, it's up for you can play up to 5 players, and really it's a tableau builder game where you're building this forest of trees in front of you represented by tree cards, and then you can play cards basically that are animal or shrubberies or other various things, birds, reptile, lizards, all sorts of things, to either the top of the tree, the bottom of the tree, the left of the tree, or the right of the tree. And you're looking to try to basically figure out how you can build your tableau in such a way to get the best and most effective points out of your forest when winter has finally come, because there are 3 cards that are inserted into the bottom third of the deck that are winter is coming, and when the third one is revealed, that triggers the immediate end. Nobody else gets a turn, doesn't care about even player turns. You get a lot of turns in this game, and when it is your turn, you're basically doing one of 2 things. You're either going to draw 2 cards, either from the top of the deck, or there is a 10-card river that slowly gets filled by people playing or people discarding cards to that river. Or you're going to play a card. And when you play a card, every card has a cost, and the cost is going to be a number of cards. It's going to be like 0. You might be a free card where it costs you nothing to play, or it's going to be a card that's going to cost you maybe 1 card, 2 cards, etc., to play. And those cards that you have to discard to play the card you're playing, those go to that river mechanism. Of course, if that river ever exceeds 10 cards, those at the end of the player's turn, all of those cards end up going to the out of the game pile, and they will never be seen again. Now, what's really neat too with this is that all of these cards have like different colors associated with them, and so some of the cards have triggers that let you take another turn out of sequence after you complete your turn, or let you draw extra cards, or multitudes of other things if you play the right color combination of cards. Like, oh, hey, if you pay 2 additional green cards when you play this, or I shouldn't say 2 additional green cards. If the 2 cards you discarded to play this card happen to have been green cards, then you get this bonus thing. Makes it really thought provocative on how you're managing your hand, because the last thing I'm going to say is that you have a hand limit of 10 total cards. So it's not like you can just sit there and fish all day to try to get all the cards. At some point, you're going to have to play something to be able to make room to put more cards in your hand that you're going to need. And the whole time, once you've played this a few times, you're looking around the table at what everybody else has played in their tableau going, oh, I don't want to discard a butterfly because I know Matt's got a butterfly strategy going on over there, and he's going to pick them right up out of the whatever the river of cards, the discard area, on his turn and score a bunch of points off of that. But then you're like, but I need to discard something out of my hand to be able to play this card that's going to 4x my points for my bunny rabbits. So, anyways, I think we've all played this game because this has been a highly, highly popular game at all of our meetups that we've been running. So, guys, what did you all think of Forest Shuffle?
I got the chance to play for the first time, actually, just recently with you, Ben, and Suzanne, and my wife, and had a great time. The aspect you mentioned where you have to be thinking about what cards you're discarding out to the river for other people to pick up, I really like about this game. There's lots of layers of strategy to kind of keep in mind as you're playing. And it adds another cool layer to have that mechanic of like the things I discard can possibly go to other people. There's a time limit on it because the river will eventually fill up and get discarded all the way, but you still got to kind of like Ben said, do I really want to discard this butterfly because I know somebody's working on this butterfly strategy where you can just stack up all these butterflies and get like 2 points for every butterfly you have or whatever it is. And that's the other big thing I like about this game a lot is it's about finding those combos in your cards, finding the bird that wants to eat bugs. So every bug you have under a tree will get you extra points. Or maybe you're looking like when I played, there's these rabbits, these hares that you can stack up. Normally you can only play one card on either side of your tree, but with hares, you can stack as many of them next to each other as you want. So you can just keep piling up rabbits over and over again. And then rabbits combo with other things like foxes, score points if you have more rabbits. And so finding those cool little combos in each turn, trying to make the best choice to maximize your points in all the different combos you found, and really satisfying. That I like about that a lot. That seeking out those combos is really fun, I think.
Yeah, Suzanne happened to have tipped it over 10 cards at least 3 times in that game we played.
Yeah.
Like, let it fill up or on her turn and cleared them all out. And the whole time, because right after her in order, going, oh, okay, if I can just get that card out of it and this card out of it, and then she'll be like, well, wait, I'll go in. And we're like, darn it! Oh, what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I've really enjoyed about it is like you really start to learn the combos, and you begin to kind of understand just by staring at other people's the things they're aiming for. I will tell you, I cannot do the math for this game in my head. This thing is such an amazing point salad at the end of the game.
Yes.
That you should not feel it like you initially be like, oh, maybe I'll get 60, 70 points. No, like I've seen people go well over 200 points on this game. The ones that have like learned it and learned the combos, but it's just a lot of fun because it is constantly staring at like, I try not to obsess about what's on the board especially if you're playing like 4 or 5 players, because like the river could look completely different by the time it gets to you. But like trying to figure out what people are building, because if you're like, oh, I'm holding we always keep saying butterflies, but butterfly or something in my hand, or I have a bat, but then you realize 3 people before you start playing bats on their turns, you're like, okay, well maybe playing a bat strategy isn't going to go well this game because I'm competing with 3 other people for bats, which means I might need to abandon that strategy. But there's so many different combos in this game. It's very satisfying to go, okay, 3 people went all in on bats. What else can I do? Can I find like deer to work with wolves, and like find the combos that other people are ignoring and put them into something big. Or, oh, people are ignoring this type of tree. Well, I can use that tree and get an extra 40 points if I, go all in. And, it's like there's so many very interesting combos that you can kind of combine and do like kind of weird strategies to come up with a lot of points in this game.
Yeah, there's like 3 expansions, I think, maybe 4. I don't know.
They just released a 4th.
Yeah.
Like
I was just gonna say, we played with like every expansion almost. I think you guys had in there.
Yeah,
And
all of them except for we don't have a bunch of. Actually, we might. I think one of the expansions re-released all the promo cards as part of the expansion.
I think the new one that just got released is Smoky Mountain.
Okay.
And then
I thought that's a standalone.
Maybe, but then they're also releasing. I think they're releasing an expansion for Dartmoor now.
Yeah,
so Dartmoor is a separate game.
It's the same game, but it's
like a standalone.
Different. It's got it's for those people that have either like if I were telling you should get, if you're trying to choose between Force Shuffle or Force Shuffle Dartmoor right now, mechanically they're both basically the exact same game.
Yeah.
The big difference is that Force Shuffle Dartmoor came out later, so it's got some of the concepts that some of the expansions added in Dartmoor, but then it also has its own little twist on how it handles things mechanically with the moors that make it an interesting, owning both and having played both. But I personally like, because of all the expansions, I like the original Forest Shuffle a little bit more when it's loaded with all the expansions. I'm really interested to see what they do with the new Smoky Mountain one. Yep, I do believe that's going to be a standalone, just like Dartmoor.
Sure.
I think they're going to keep coming out with variants on Forest Shuffle until people quit buying this thing.
So you're tired of shuffling them for us.
Yeah.
I mean,
one other compliment I wanted to.
Yeah, please.
Sorry, just one other thing I wanted to throw in. I felt like it was a really good combo of pretty easy to learn, like not hard to pick up, but a lot of cool decisions and pretty good strategic depth. Like to really maximize your points, there's a lot of opportunity for optimization and finding those combos, like I mentioned. So I really like that. And I also wanted to say, like, we did play with like a bunch of expansions the first time I played with it, and they all blended in just super smoothly. Like I didn't even notice. Nothing seemed weird or out of place or too complicated. So I wouldn't be afraid to throw in all the expansions on a first teach for somebody either. I think they all worked really well together. So.
Yep, absolutely. No, this is that's one of the reasons why it's popular. And honestly, like a lot of games I'm really enjoying right now are the ones that I can play I can pick up and understand how to play it very quickly and be able to play it one or two times, because I'm a lot of times having to move on to another game or learn another game. And as much as I love me some crunchy Euros that require me to spend an hour either listening to somebody explain the game or 2 or 3 hours of my own time trying to figure out how to play it on my own, like there is something to be said about a game that I can glance kind of through the rule book, somebody can give me a 5-minute overview of how to play, and boom, it's on the table, and I feel like I'm doing intelligent things almost immediately.
Yeah, yep. Absolutely.
That is Forest Shuffle.
Yeah, and please head on over to WiscoDice.com. Let me try that again. WiscoDice.com to check out links to all the games we've been talking about. And please, while you're at it, leave a review of this podcast wherever you download your podcasts. Do it now.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. We're starving on some reviews, so feed us, please. Now, drum roll. All right, that was the greatest sound effect ever. We are ready to once again roll into our GenCon most anticipated game releases for this year, 2026. We've leveraged the Board Game Geek list for games that are releasing at GenCon. Link will be in the show notes. All right, over at that website. What was that website again, Justin? I can't remember.
WiscoDice.com.
Awesome. Yep, indeed. Go over to WiscoDice.com. You can get a full link to the GenCon preview list. We would love to hear about the games that you're excited to check out at GenCon. Pop over on our Discord or hit us up on our social media and let us know what games you're excited for. These are the 10 games that I think we are all the most excited for. And like usual, I can tell you straight up right away, I guarantee that none of the games that Matt picked for sure are games that I even had on my radar or usually ever would. And there are definitely a couple of games on Justin's radar that I'm like, oh yeah, I was considering that. Maybe that'd be a good one. So it's just really cool how all of us think a little bit differently about all of these board games.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first game that I'm going to talk about is Class of 89 from Paverson Games. Now, I happened to get to playtest a prototype copy of this last year at GenCon. This game is all about building a high school yearbook of all of these teachers and students and the activities that they went, and it's going to be a huge throwback. A lot of the art and imagery are going to be kind of throwback nods to various 80s TV series, pop culture references, and movies where there were students and teachers in them. So I got to see some of that preview art last year. I'm really excited for this one. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I believe it is going to be available for purchase this year at the Papers and Games booth while supplies probably last. Of course, if you're lucky enough, you get a chance to demo it. I am actually running this game for Papers and Games on Sunday at GenCon. So swing by the Papers and Game booth in the evenings if you want to catch up with Conesy while you're at GenCon.
I do want to give Paverson a little bit of a compliment in doing another good job of picking a unique theme for a game. Like they can really pick a unique theme and run with it. This looks really cool, and I have trust in the stuff that they've been making so far. So I'm excited for this one as well.
Yeah, well, and I remember when you first talked to me about this last year, Ben. I thought this one sounded really like. I had the same reaction Ben did when he first heard about it. Like, have you gone insane? Why would I want to do that? But then you talked to me about like you got to play it, like the demo it, and you're like, it was surprisingly fun. And I was like listening to you talk about the mechanics and that, and I was like, that does sound actually kind of fun. Like it wouldn't like just the title was not something that like drew me initially, but then it was like when you started describing it, I'm like, it does sound like it'd be really kind of interesting.
It's just you have like this one like polyhedron board where you're trying to put all the achievements on your board, and then you've got like you put a teacher down on your board, and then you got to try to get as many students. You want to get as many students as you can from A to Z, and they have to be all alphabetical, alphabetical last name, and then when you get like, oh, I'm getting too far, then you have to go grab another teacher and fill it in. And now you're basically creating classes. So a teacher with their class of students. It's a lot of fun. Great game. But Matt, you got another one here for us, right?
I do. So the first one I picked, I'll be honest, the thing that caught me there when I was checking out the BGG site, and that is, I was, sometimes I pick games based on, hey, that looks really cool. Sometimes this one, there's no image for this game. The game is called Dungeon Diners. It's supposed to release in 2026, so it's supposed to come out at GenCon. And here's the description. The description is what really caught me because it just sounds quirky and fun. And in my head, I said, this just sounds like it would be a blast. Monsters have invaded the ancient dungeons below ground. How delicious. Your adventuring company has been hired out by the best restaurants and diners to go hunt these monsters for their menus. As an adventuring company, your goal is to become the most successful business you can. You'll be hunting monsters, claiming hunting grounds, completing restaurant contracts, and developing your company, all while exploring the dungeon. So this one is by a company called BA Games. BA Games is last year I picked up one of their games called Forges of Ravenshire, and honestly, I just happened to see that description in my head. I said, I have to see this game. So like when we talk about this being our most anticipated, I was like, okay, this is a publisher I actually have experience with, and that description sounds fantastic. So this is why I picked this one out of the blue. So
it's a great concept. Yeah.
Yeah. The concept just sounds great.
No. And the Forges game is actually pretty good too. You finally got me to play it. It's got a great dice
good mechanics.
Dice, was it dice worker placement or is
dice? It's like a dice worker placement.
Yeah, with like a whole bunch of you're like collecting resources and converting those resources, doing all the classic Euro things, but in a cool kind of cute package.
Yeah, with good mechanics though. So. But that's how I ended up with this one. So,
well, now I'm hungry. Justin,
nice.
Do you got something to fill my appetite here?
Well, if you're hungry for a heavyweight Euro, that's what I got.
I see the publisher here. It's going to be heavy.
Yep. So this is Entropy from Board and Dice, which was a GameFound campaign this year, and this is a heavyweight 1 to 4 player Euro game where you're going to play as a scientist sort of manipulating the universe using the power of entropy in this grand simulation where you're going to create solar systems and evolve stars and manage planets and biomes and the life that they produce. It uses a rondel mechanism. You move your scientists around a main board, taking actions like 1 to 3 spaces each turn, and you do stuff like evolve stars from sort of a early nebula level to like higher levels where they can produce more life on planets that you attach to the solar system where the star is. And then you can add biomes to those planets, which support different kinds of life. And then on top of that, you can play these life cards, which are like fauna and flora and microorganisms that have different life condition requirements. So you need to provide them with like different levels of heat or carbon or water or even radiation. And so you're simulating this whole life creation system in this resource management rondel complex Euro game. The art looks really cool. The components look really nice. I think it's one I'm going to want to try before I buy because it does look pretty complex. And I think they may have it available on like tabletop simulators, so you could go try it out. At least I think while their campaign is still running. But just caught my eye. It's one of the designers is Simone Luciani, so that's a pretty big name out there for developers. Good credentials behind their name. Yeah, it just looks really neat.
I mean, it's a more nice game. It'll be on my shelf.
Yeah.
Not you, Ben. Not at all. I can't think of a board and dice you haven't picked up lately.
Really missing anything from them that they've put out. No. Do they get to the table as often as I'd like? No. See heavy Euro comment earlier.
Yeah. Exactly.
You got to have a good bit of time set aside.
Yeah, that's Entropy. What do we got next?
Speaking of another probably Euro, I have Electrify from AEG. So AEG for me is they make great games. I mean, these guys from Lost Ring of Varnak people.
Yep.
They are the
that's CGE, I think.
Oh no, that's CGE. Yeah, you're right.
AEG has a whole bunch of others though that were really
They do
good.
a whole bunch of other stuff.
There's a ton. Yeah, they have Cascadia, Dead Reckoning, Space is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Getting my letter combinations messed up. Anyways,
yeah.
This one is going to be it's late 1800s and scientists have unlocked the power of electricity, right? And so you're going to be, the course of the game, you're innovating and trying to industrialize the world, so to speak, with all of the things you're doing in the game. You're going to be activating like sectors in your business, which are various tiles, and that's going to drive the actions that you're going to be able to take. It just looks like thematically, it doesn't look to me like I'm like a super exciting game to me personally, but like mechanically, this thing has like some things that I'm really interested to check out, and I want to see it in action. Of course, I think my wife is like kind of these kind of things like Nucleum from Board and Dice, which is another very similar kind of 1800s kind of almost energy kind of game. Is one that we have definitely gotten to the table several times, and we both really like, and I'm hoping this is another one that falls into that same kind of bucket for us for games that have to do with running and innovating around electricity and building your kind of company and establishing things and building things out. Obviously mechanically different, but just I thought it was a really neat game and a really neat kind of the way they're putting it together, and I'm hoping it'll be really good. But I need to be able to check it out and see what it looks like at the table at GenCon.
Yeah, I definitely looked at this one. It was on one of the ones I was looking at, Ben. But then I was like, it's already on Ben's list. I don't need to throw it on mine. So yeah, it was interesting to see some of the things they were talking about doing in this one. So
I like this designer too, John D. Clare. He makes good. He's made a lot of good games that I like. I like his stuff. This looks cool.
And on the short list of things that Ben has never heard of again. But I know that Suzanne would play because it's a game.
Yes, that is true.
It's called Realm of Reckoning. This one caught me not because it had fancy graphics, but I thought the gameplay sounded kind of interesting. You play part of basically a sort of deities fighting for who's going to control the afterlife. And the game kind of plays out according to the description. They talk about it in like 3 ages, and basically the game starts with no victory conditions, and then depending on how successful you are throughout the game, you get the opportunity to establish monuments and sort of control the flow of the afterlife, and it gives you the opportunity to then select victory conditions and then try to build towards those. So it, in my head, reminded me a little bit of that mechanic from one of our favorite space games, and where you know, hey, once you pass a certain scoring threshold, you get to pick a victory condition. So it was an interesting combination. It's sort of a middleweight complexity game, but I thought it was interesting to see this kind of. There's definitely some player interaction where you're going to be kind of competing for followers and stuff like that. But to do it, you're spending your resources. So part of the time you're gathering resources, but to win that big, thing and get it to pick a thing, you have to expend a bunch of resources. So there's sort of bidding mechanics and competition against each other, but it might come at a cost because you've kind of spent all your resources. Now you get to spend time regaining followers and stuff like that. I thought it was an interesting set of mechanics with that whole, you don't know what the victory conditions are when the game started. So I thought it looked interesting, but like you guys, I think I would have to see it played or a little bit more in depth to see how much, but it was an interesting concept for me. So, and this one's produced by IV Games, or maybe that's 4 games, depends on how you want to play it. But
and I need that IV for my games, man.
Yeah, straight into the bloodstream with these
into the bloodstream, absolutely. So
lately, I like the lack of gaming I have been doing. Somebody should give me an IV a game, so I actually know my publishers and my games better.
Yep.
Well, this next one is a CGE game, which again is a publisher we know and love for things like Lost Ruins of Arnak, and their new game.
That hurts.
But their new one here is called Drillers, and Drillers is a deck building game where you're going to be sending these drilling mechs down into the mines to dig up minerals and bring them back to the surface to upgrade your mechs and expand their abilities and get drones to help you out. The deeper you go in the mines, the more challenging it is, the more fuel it costs you down there, and the better rewards, of course, are down in the deep parts of the mines. And so when you're up at the surface, you can do the deck building stuff of purchasing upgrades, buying new cards for your deck, refueling your mech out for your next excursion. Looks like a mid-weight strategy game for 1 to 4 players, and mostly like I kind of have come to trust pretty much anything that CGE puts out, and so I'm gonna be checking this one out for sure. Looks really neat, a unique theme. I haven't seen the sort of mech drilling. I like that concept a lot. Yeah, so that's Drillers for CGE.
Yeah, I think this is probably one that Suzanne's excited to see, and it's one that we will almost assuredly. I mean, I always sneak up to the CGE room every year at GenCon, anyways, just to check it out. Especially since they're open. Usually, I think they're open an hour before hall does open, so you can get a chance to see there. And
they're always
while
open.
You're waiting to crash the main hall.
Yeah.
They always have such a really nice done room too, and you can like. I find, especially these newer games, there's usually a good number of them set up, and even if you don't get a demo ahead of time, they usually have like a couple open tables that if you pay attention, you can kind of jump in and grab a quick demo of it.
Yep, absolutely. So this will be one. I've had games where I'm like, I didn't even know that was coming out from CGE, and they had it at Gen Con set up somewhere. Yep. But I'm excited to see this one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you drilled that one into me, Justin. Next up, we have Revenant from Mind Clash Games. So this is I guess another big Euro on my list of, hey, when am I going to get time to play a Euro? And I actually was a backer of this game, so I actually have my copy. It just shipped to me. And I'm actually going to get to play it in a couple of days or sometime next week. But it is the successor game to, God, I can't remember now.
Voidfall, is it? Is that what it is?
This is, and I've played Voidfall finally. I bought that at GenCon like 2 years ago as like a damaged box, so I got a big discount on it for like the big table, all the cool stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is gonna be it's in the same universe. You're dealing with things like the Voidborn, corrupted forces, and corruption, whatever. But everything that I've heard people talk about it and say things about it, and people who I know who have actually played it before have indicated, like, unlike Voidfall, where that was like, Voidfall is a 4X Euro game where combat is very deterministic, and there's like 4 billion icons, and like it's like 2 pages of icons, and there's no, like, in the box there's no like player aid really for like what all the icons do. Like, everything's on your boards, but it doesn't really translate that well into mechanics, and everything's like, I wouldn't say they're not intuitive, but it's iconography that is really in that game, and I don't really see a lot of that iconography in a lot of other games. So it took a while to kind of get our heads around and get through our first like learning game of it. Yeah. Where I've heard Revenant, and I've heard other people say kind of the same thing, and where I've had other people say that, they've said Revenant is easier to get into because I think I think the biggest thing is it's a worker placement game, and that its core is a concept I think anybody who's played a Euro game before instantly kind of gravitates into. You understand how that mechanic works. You're going to be placing a worker, do some things with an action, boom, move on to the next player. That's it. Just that little bit just seems like it's going to be a lot easier to digest. And of course, if you came off of learning some of the Voidfall iconography, it's probably going to be easier to absorb that way. So I am excited to get this to the table and get a chance to play it. And looks like I'm going to chance to play it soon.
Nice.
Yeah, this one looks neat. I like my Clash stuff.
Absolutely.
Clash does like to clash your mind.
Yeah, that is true.
All right. So the last one I honestly picked because it just looked really beautiful, the sections I looked at. And the game sounded interesting too. It's a little bit on the lighter weight. It's called Trial of the Forest. The theme is, these friendly animals normally, once a year or something, send all their people into on this trial of the forest, and they try to go through this forest and become the guardian, so to speak, a protector against the darkness that looms out there. So kind of collect resource cards, you fight with opponents, and take on these sort of dangerous expedition. So, and the cards you play and the things you do kind of build your history, I guess, by defining the deeds that your creatures and stuff like that have completed. So just kind of sounded interesting, looked kind of neat, has some great pictures, great art. It's like, I don't remember if I said this, but it's produced by Rebel Studios. It looked interesting, so just kind of caught my eye. Every once in a while you see one that's just kind of a real pretty game that you're like, it might be interesting to see what the heck that one is and how it plays. So
yeah. It sounds like it'd be a good game for like the meetups and stuff too.
Yeah, that's what it did, because it doesn't sound like it's like super heavy, and it's like something that would take like 4 hours to play. But you play it at like, I think it's up to 4 players. Could take a couple hours, but still, that's usually short enough for meetups.
It's not only good. Yeah, that's a good time for almost any game, especially if it's not like rocket science to figure it out. So
if it takes you an hour and a half to set up and then explain, then yeah.
So I have no idea how long a Revenant's going to take, but probably.
Yeah.
Or Entropy.
Yeah.
Where'd you go, Justin, on your last one?
So my last one, this one, I don't know. Something about this game really speaks to me, and I was very close to backing it when it was on Kickstarter, but I kind of held off. I've been trying to be more choosy about stuff that I back. But this is the Game Makers from Bezier Games. This is a 1 to 6 player game where you are manufacturing board games. you're running a board game production company and you're trying to produce the best, like most successful line of board games. So you're managing resources, you're hiring staff, building an assembly line, upgrading your factory, fulfilling contracts and stuff like that, all to do and marketing your board games to produce your board games. The cool thing about this is that every board game represented in this game is a real world board game. There's like 300 plus real world games from real world publishers that they make in this. So you can literally build Wingspan or on Mars or Terraforming Mars or Ark Nova. Like those are all cards in this game, which maybe is too meta for some people, but I just think it's genius. And it's got like simultaneous action selection, kind of a rondel system where it reminds me a little bit of that Formaggio game where
Okay.
you place around this series of wedges, and if you place on like a level 3 resource, you won't get that really good resource until like 3 turns away, kind of a thing. So it's got that sort of advanced planning of like, I want something really good, but it's going to have to wait for it. Just looks really neat, and I just think it's fun to like see all these games that we've been playing all these years represented all in one space. They must have figured out licensing, with all these publishers to get all their games for real. Like the box art of all those games is on the cards in this game. So I just think that's great. It seems so cool.
Well, I mean, I guess I could see where you as a publisher would be willing to do that, though, right? Some
Yeah,
advertising, your
it
game
is.
is in the game. Somebody might go, "Oh, what's that?" if they've never heard of it. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
And surprisingly enough, the publisher community is not a particularly huge community, and Bezier is one of those publishers that's probably got some great connections within the industry
Mhm.
and knows some people and is able to just ring up like Stonemeyer and ring
Yeah.
up a few of these other guys and be like, "Hey, I'm making a game. It's gonna be I'm doing this, and it'd be really nice if I could use some of your titles in this game." And they're like, "Yeah, sure." So I'd have heard nothing but good stuff about this one, and it would
Mm.
have been on my list, except I thought it was already out in the general public and you could buy it retail. And here Justin told me that it isn't probably. So
I
if
think it comes
hopefully,
out like this month. I think it comes out in July.
so
Uh, so pretty soon.
perfect timing with GenCon then.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So we all hit 3 games, and we're planning on doing 3 games each. And then today, it was announced from our friends and local Madisonians, Thunderworks Games, that Fliptoons Season 2 is releasing at GenCon. Now, last year at GenCon, they released Fliptoons, and which is a really cool kind of card purchasing / deck tuning. You're not really building, you're deck tuning. Literally, you're tuning. Your Because you really never want to have, unlike most deck builders, you just keep jamming cards into it, right? For the most part, until
You
you
want
get
to
to the game end
optimize.
trigger. Like this, you're constantly optimizing. You're constantly tuning with that deck,
Mhm.
optimizing it, changing it, telling tunes that they are good enough to be in your production, while hiring new tunes and putting them in your deck, and then trying to see how much fame you can generate each round. And there's all sorts of cool little combos. Well, I can say I've played Fliptoons now, I don't know, probably 15, 16 times since Gen Con last year, because it's such a fast filler that everybody seems to enjoy. And now with Season 2, I'm looking forward. I'm really, really excited to explore new combinations, new things. I think one of the cards I saw was the Coyote, and I'm just excited to see what that does, and if I can build a theme or build a mechanic that works around that. And so I'm really excited to see Fliptoon Season 2.
Yep.
I think we're all here pretty good fans of the game itself. And of course, our friends at Thunderworks, we just can't say enough. Thanks to all of them for all the hard work they do in putting together
Yeah.
some great games. And yeah, Keith, take my money.
Pretty much. I mean, I really
Yeah,
enjoy Flip Tunes, and I have to imagine the second one will be it's just more chaos and fun, right? So I Flip Tunes is on my list of things that I need to add, but now with the second one coming out, yeah, gotta have them. So
yeah,
it's just a
2,
fun.
So I don't know. I don't think it's maybe it's standalone on its own. I don't know how it's going to combo in with the original. They didn't.
No.
I don't think they shared a whole lot of details yet.
No, but I really enjoyed the first one. I'm like you. The first one was so much fun. I would throw money at the second one regardless, because it's it's such a fun, quick game that you can explain to somebody like we talked about earlier, right? Something you can pull out in 5 minutes, explain to somebody, and go. And it's just a fun filler game. If you have if you're having a big board game day and you just need something to fill 15, 20, whatever minutes, boom, done. Pull it out, play a couple of hands real quick, and then when everybody else is done, you can break up and decide on new games that are a little longer. So.
Plus side is I got to head over to Thunderworks Games to pick up my most recent Kickstarter that I got the notification to go pick it up from them this week. Maybe I can sweet talk Keith into let me pick up a copy of this a little early. Knock on wood, probably not, but hey, you can't blame a guy for trying. Anyways, this is our GenCon 2026 most anticipated game release. We do this every year as we're getting excited, as we're starting to foam at that mouth, getting all jazzed up, ready to go for GenCon. And I will be working for Paverson Games. I'm going to be out in the main, not at the booth, but I will be out in the main hall where Paverson has all of their games that they're running. I'll be running Luthier. I'll be working kind of the front desk where talking to folks about the games. If you want to stop by, say hi to me, you'll be able to do that on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday evening. Or you can catch me during the day over there on Sunday. And, of course, don't forget that we talked about 2 great board games here in the games we've been playing in the form of Four Shuffle and Aquatica Duellum. Till next time, folks, thanks so much for listening.
Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you leave a review of this show wherever your favorite place is to find podcasts. Oh, and by the way, give us a like on our Facebook page. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or Pinterest while you're at it. If you haven't looked recently, make sure you catch up on the blog at WiscoDice.com. Hey, Brian, what's that site?
Ah, darn, I forget. Justin, what's our website again?
WiscoDice.com.
That's right, it's WiscoDice.com. And until next time, everyone, peace out.